Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Amoja Desola Chiroba, Corporate Communications Officer at PTCT, and I want to welcome you all to Infrastructure Forum. You're welcome. So let's get right into today's conversation. Mr. Anu Omishaki, over to you.
So now moving into the topic, public-private partnerships, a vital strategy for tackling affordable housing deficits. So before I go on, I would like to explain the key terms here, which is public and private partnerships. Public and private partnerships is basically an agreement or a collaboration between the public and the private. Now, the public are governments, government institutions, and the private are individuals, investors. So this is basically the private individuals or private investors and the public, the government coming together to form a partnership to deliver projects, and not just projects, to deliver services for the betterment of the society. So now, PPP, a vital strategy for tackling the affordable housing deficit. Now, as we all know, not just in Lagos, in Nigeria, we have affordable housing deficits. I think one bedroom to two bedroom now, the cost of renting them is between 1.5 million to 3 million. So now, how many people can afford it? What is even the minimum wage? I think the minimum wage is 77,000. So how can an individual afford an apartment that is worth 1.5 million with a minimum wage of what, 77,000? Now, from the definition, PPP for affordable housing is a contractual agreement between public and the public are national, state, local governments, agency, and so on, and private sector entity, which are individuals, developers, investors, and so on. Now, this partnership seeks to leverage private sector finance, design expertise, construction capabilities, operational management to develop affordable housing projects. Now, look at what they are trying to leverage. They're trying to leverage the private partnerships, private individuals, finance, design expertise, construction, and their capabilities. Now, the government and investors or individuals coming together, merging their resources together, would lead to the provision of affordable housing to the masses. Now, let me give everyone the definition from the World Bank. The World Bank states that PPP is a long-term contract between a public party and a private party. A long-term contract in the sense that there's let's move to the benefit of PPP. Number one is increased financial capacity. PPP helps to increase the financial capacity in terms of achieving a project. The public and the private merging their resources together would lead to what? An increased financial capacity. For example, someone that wants to build a project of 1 billion and goes to the government for a partnership. Now, the government can actually give this person a land worth, let's say, 500 million. Now, the cost of that land is off the capital or the cost that the person wants to use to actually run the project. And number two is enhanced efficiency and innovation. The private sector, the private sector often brings greater operational efficiency to projects because the private sector basically hires the best individuals in terms of construction engineers and so on. So now merging together with the government to create a project would lead to enhanced efficiency and innovations in the sense that private sector often brings greater operational efficiency, innovative constructive techniques like modular housing, green building technologies, and effective project management, potentially leading to faster delivery and cost savings. So now the next one is, and another benefit is risk sharing. Now there can be a risk. There are certain types of PPP that the public and the private will both share the risks in terms of financial risks, financial management risks. They'll both share the risks. But there are some agreements that the private individual or the investor will be the ones to take most of the risks because the private individuals will be the ones to finance and manage the project. So that's one of the benefits of PPP. Now, the next one is improved quality and maintenance. Yes, there is improved quality and maintenance in terms of PPP because now there is an agreement between the government and the individual that, okay, this project, they're going to run it for 25 years. If the investor that is investing in this project builds this project not up to standard or not up to quality, the project, I mean, the investor would obviously run at loss. Just imagine you build a project, you build different housing units for rental, and in the next 5 years, everything has collapsed. Such investor has run at loss. So one of the benefits of PPP is it improves the quality and maintenance of projects, because when the individual or when the investor is building this project, the investor will build the project with quality materials or in such a way that the project would last long in order for him to be able to recoup his money. Yeah. So long-term PPP agreements can incentivize private partners to ensure high-quality construction and ongoing maintenance, as their returns are often tied to the project's performance over time. So now the next one is stimulation of economic activity. That's another benefit of PPP, stimulation of economic activity. Now, in terms of PPP, when there is an agreement between the government and private individuals, how does this agreement boost economic activity? It will boost economic activity in the sense that now there is an agreement that we want to create a commercial hub. Now, after this agreement, during the process of creating this commercial hub, there will be need to employ architects, construction engineers, mechanical engineers, structural engineers, non-skilled labor, and so on and so forth, thus increasing or improving economic activity. There will be employment, and people that are employed would make money. Now, the next one is access to expertise. And that's another advantage of PPP. Now, expertise from the government and expertise from private individuals merging together would lead to an awesome project. So PPP gives room towards access to expertise, public access to private expertise, and private access to public expertise. The common models for affordable housing, number one is the build, operate, and transfer. Just like it states, self-explanatory. You build, you operate, and then you transfer. Now, there will be an agreement, just like I've stated earlier on. PPP is an agreement between a private individual and the public, an investor and the public. Now, after an agreement, there's an agreement that you are going to build. You're going to build a commercial hub. You're going to operate it, let's say, for 25 years, and you're going to transfer. It means you have to transfer the ownership of that project to what? To the public, and which is what? To the government. There's an agreement between the private and the public that you have to build. You're going to give you a land. I'm going to give you like 5 acres of land. You're going to build different housing units for rental. You're going to own it. You're going to operate it for specific years, let's say for 25 years. You're going to make your money. And after making your money, you're going to do what? Then transfer it back to the government. So that's build, operate, and transfer. So number two is lease, develop, and operate. Number two model of PPP is lease, develop, and operate. Now, in this process, the government will lease land to the private individuals. The private individual will develop the land, would operate it, and then transfer it back to the government. And now this method is actually used. This model is common when the public sector wishes to retain land ownership. Now, there can be there will be an agreement between the private individual and the public and the government that I want to make use of this land for, let's say, for agricultural purpose. For agricultural purpose. Now, the government can lease the land to the investor. To release the land to the investor, because leasing the land to the investor and the investor investing in that land, let's say for 25 years for agricultural purposes, would lead to an increase in the economic activity. They will employ individuals and so on and so forth. So now, the person can actually make use of this and make use of the land for 25 years. After 25 years, the person would then return the land back to the government, because the individual or the investor does not own the land. The next model of affordable housing is joint venture. Yes, in terms of joint venture, the public and the private sectors form a new entity to jointly develop and manage, let's say, affordable housing projects. So the risks, the responsibility, the profit and loss is between both. The government, there can be an agreement between an investor and the government. The government can, let's say, there's a plan to build 1 billion housing projects or $1 billion housing projects. Now, an investor can actually raise funds from grants, loans, and so on to raise 500 million, and the government can actually pitch or give 500 million to the individual. So 500 million plus 500 million, that's 1 billion to actually achieve a project. Now, in this instance, there will be a 50-50 profit share between the both of them, because they are bringing both 50-50 into the project. Now, in terms of profit and loss, they will both share the profit and loss. If the individual is making money, the individual will share the amount, the profit equally between the government. There will be a profit share between equal profit share between the government and the individual. So the next one is concessions with subsidies and incentives. Concessions with subsidies and incentives. Yeah, the private sector is granted a concession to develop housing with the public sector providing viability gap funding, tax breaks, density bonuses, and so on and so forth. Now, an individual can come to the government that they want to build, let's say, an housing project. There will be an agreement. There is always an agreement. There is always an agreement, and there will be a partnership or a collaboration between the private and the government and the individual. So now, with the agreement, the government can actually partner with the private individual by saying, okay, we're going to subsidize, okay, after building this housing project for individuals to rent or to buy, then we're going to subsidize the property by giving you, let's say, $100 million or $200 million in order to do what? To reduce the cost of the house. What are the key challenges in implementing affordable housing? Some of the key challenges in implementing affordable housing. Please, I will state it once again. If you have questions, drop it in the chat box. I need to attend to every of your questions. The key challenges in implementing affordable housing. Number one is what? Ensuring true affordability. Now, when it comes to the term affordability, affordability is actually subjective in nature. Subjective in the sense that the meaning of affordability to me might be different, or can be different from the meaning of affordability to the next person. Now, if you're saying affordability in terms of housing, are we saying 50% off the current market price, or we are saying 25% off the current market price? Let's say the current market price for a two-bedroom in Lekki is 250 million. Now, if you want to build two-bedroom to make it affordable to people, how much are we saying is affordable? Now, if you say 10 million, is it possible to actually build a two-bedroom for 10 million? So what is affordability? How do we ensure affordability? So now this is one of the problems that arises between private and public partnership. What is affordability? How do we ensure affordability? Number two is land availability and cost. Yes, this is another problem. Land availability, especially in Lagos, there's no land. Even the lands that are available are very, very expensive. Now, the next one is access to affordable finance. Access to affordable finance. Now, an investor that wants to raise money for a particular project can go to the bank. And after going to the bank to get a loan, I think the interest on loans, I think is around 26 from 25 to 26%. Now, let's say the investor goes to meet the bank or a financial institution. I'd like to get a loan of 1 billion for an housing project. Now, these people are going to charge 26% on 1 billion. And how do you calculate loan amortization? Loan amortization is when the loan is spread over time. Because someone that's borrowing 1 billion would actually want to spread the loan over time. Now, the bank is giving this person the loan at 26%. And is to pay back the loan in 10 years. That's loan amortization, spreading of loan over years. Now, the person is going to pay back the loan in 10 years. There's a formula they use in calculating the amount the person will be paying every year. This is principal times rate times open brackets 1 plus rate raised to the power number of years over open bracket 1 plus rate close bracket raised to the power number of years plus 1. Okay, for example, let's say the loan amount that an individual wants to get is 10 million. 10 million. And the interest rate is 26% per year. And to be paid back in 10 years. That's the end. Now, with the formula that I've stated, that's principal times rate, open bracket, 1 plus rate, raised to the power number of years, over 1 plus rate. That's rate is the interest rate, raised to the power number of years minus 1. Now, after calculating, the payback, the amount the person is going to pay back, let's say the amount the person wants to get is 10 million. The amount the person is going to pay back per year is 1.7 million. And it means in 10 years, the person will be paying back how much? 17 million. So now, imagine the 26% on a billion naira, with this formula that I've given after calculating it. What sort of project would the person want to, how would the person even create affordable housing with a 26% interest? And that's why there are other financial institutions that actually give out loans at 1%, between 1% to 6%. Because when an individual gets a loan and is paying back 26% every year, how would the person make it affordable? Because after paying back the loan, the person would still, and the investor, the private individuals, will still want to make profit. We still want to make profit. So this is actually one of the challenges of PPP. So now the next one is regulatory and political risks. Yeah, there are complex and lengthy approval processes that changes in government policy. In terms of approvals, there are lots of issues. There are lots of lengthy approval processes, and which is one of the issue of what affordable PPP, which is one of the issues, yes, of PPP. Now, another one is misalignment of objective and trust deficit. There is misalignment of objective and trust deficit between the private and the government. We have bad transparency in terms of projects, in terms of actualization of projects. There aren't transparency. There are bad policies. There are there are different goals and a lack of trust between the public and the private parties. And lack of trust between the public and the private parties can hinder effective collaboration and lead to disputes. The next one is community acceptance. So this is actually another challenges in terms of PPP, community acceptance. Now, a person might want to build different housing units at a particular place and would need 5 acres and 10 acres of land. The person can go to a community and the community will be like, no, we can't give out our land, and so on and so forth. So this is actually another problem that is another challenges of PPP. Now, let's move to innovative financing mechanisms. What are ways that PPP can be financed? How can we finance PPP? Innovative financing mechanism. Now, to bridge the gap in affordable housing PPPs, innovative financing mechanisms are crucial. Number one is blended finance. Blended finance is the process of getting finance, public funds, grants, low interest loans, credit funds, and so on and so forth, blending everything together to actualize affordable housing. This is actually one of the means to fund affordable housing, because getting loans from financial institution at 26% interest rates is really, really bad for business. Now, another way we can actually do this is getting low interest loans, grants, credit loans from individuals in order to actualize affordable housing, public-private partnership. Another one is low income housing tax credits and similar incentive. Low income housing tax credits in the sense that this is actually the United States makes use of this model. Now, how do they do this? They would there's a policy in the United States that if you are, let's say, as an investor, if you are going into or building affordable housing for the masses, you are not going to there'll be a reduction in terms of payment of taxes, or you're not going to pay tax. Why? Because you are providing affordable housing for the people. And the next one is housing trust funds. We have different housing trust funds in Nigeria. Number one is National Housing Fund, and this one was established in 1992 under the NHF Act. That's the National Housing Fund Act, and it is managed by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Now, the purpose of this loan is to do what? The purpose of this loan is to provide loans to Nigerians for building, buying, and renovating their homes. Now, how does this work? Nigerian workers contribute 2.5% of their monthly salary, something like a savings, 2.5% of their monthly salary. They save it, and they're going to save it for at least, I think, 6 months or for 1 year. So after you've saved a significant amount, you can then make use of that amount to purchase a property. So now, when purchasing a property, the savings you've made will be like a down payment for the property. Now, let's say you want to get a property of 50 million, and now you've saved 10 million in the NHF fund. You have an NHF fund, and you've saved 10 million. That would be like a down payment. The remaining 40 million you're supposed to pay would be spread over, let's say, 15 to 25 years. And you're going to be paying back 6% interest per year. This is how it's done. And the next one is the Family House Fund. This one was established in 2017 and it's backed up by the federal government of Nigeria via the Ministry of Finance. And the purpose is to support a large-scale construction of affordable homes and create jobs. Now, how does this work? They provide low-cost funding to developers. This is actually means a place where developers can actually get funds for affordable housing. Now we have the state housing funds. It's also called the state mortgage bonds. Now, some Nigerian states have their own housing finance schemes. Lagos State has its own, Bayelsa or your state. They have different means they provide affordable housing to people. For example, we have the Lagos State Home Ownership Mortgage Scheme. We have the Abuja Property Development Company. We have the Kaduna State Mortgage and Foreclosure Authority. We have the Ogun State Housing Corporation. The next one is the pension fund contributions. The pension funds contributions. Now, true though it's not a normal formal trust fund, Nigeria Pension Funds Act of 2017 allows contributors to withdraw part of their retirement savings for mortgage purposes. You withdraw part of your retirement savings. You know, retirement savings is after you've worked for, let's say, for 35 years or for 40 years, there's an amount that will be deducted from your salary every month that will be kept for an individual. Now, this amount is called loyalty bonus. So after you've retired, you have access to this amount. Now, you can withdraw a part of this and make use of this as a down payment, for a particular property that you want to get. So the rest will be paid back over the years. So these are just different means to actually fund affordable housing through public and private partnerships. Another one is impact investing and social bonds. Now, attracting private capital from investors who are willing to accept lower financial returns in exchange for measurable social impact. Now we have the cross subsidization. The cross subsidization is basically incorporating the market rate housing or commercial components within a larger development to subsidize affordable housing units. Let's say in a big housing project, developers build both expensive and affordable housing. Basically saying, okay, cross subsidization in terms of affordable housing or the provision of affordable housing is now an investor can actually have an agreement with the government, and the government will provide land, will provide funding. Now, there will be an agreement between the government and the individual, and the individual can actually provide affordable housing by building affordable housing and expensive housing. Yeah, let me use that now, please. Expensive housing and affordable housing. Now, the money the individual or the investor is making from the expensive housing is what the investor is going to use to fund affordable housing. Do you understand that scenario? So thus making it possible for the investor to be able to recoup his investment by building affordable housing and expensive housing. Now, the affordable housing will be for low income earners, middle income earners, and the expensive housing will be for the wealthy people. So the money the profits the individual is making from the expensive housing will make up for the cost of building an affordable housing. So that's what we call cross subsidization. Now, the next one is the pension fund investment. That's mobilizing long-term capital from pension funds for investments in affordable housing. So this is actually another financing mechanisms or means for affordable housing. Now, what are the crucial role of government and effective regulatory frameworks in order to ensure proper and a transparent PPP? So the number one is developing a clear policy and legal framework. For example, the Nigeria Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, that is the ICRC Act, this is an example of such a framework through effective implementation and specific adaptation for housing. Now, ICRC, this policy was actually propounded and it has helped to bring about proper PPP, that's public and private partnership, in the sense that it ensures a proper agreement between the public and private. It ensures transparency in terms of delivering of the project. It ensures that the individual or the investor makes use of the right material for the project, and so on and so forth. There's just policies to ensure transparency and effectiveness of this collaboration. The next one is strategic land assembly and management. This is identifying and making suitable public land available, potentially at subsidized cost for housing. There should be a framework or a policy that assembles or that subsidize the prices of land for developers, for investors, in order for there to be affordable housing. Because imagine an investor trying to build an housing project, and the land that the investor is getting for the housing project is within 700 to 1 billion naira. The investor will obviously take into consideration the cost of land when the investor wants to sell the property. But creating a policy that subsidizes the prices of land would have an effect in terms of the cost of properties. Now, the next one is providing financial support and incentives. Yes, the government should provide financial support and incentives for affordable housing. The next one is streamlining approvals and reducing bureaucracy. Now, creating efficient and predictable processes for project approvals and permits. The government needs to build a policy that streamlines project approvals to make sure project approvals are fast, they're effective, and they are cheap. Project approval shouldn't be what 20 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. The project approvals are this expensive. The investors will take into consideration every amount they've spent on the project. So if there are policies that streamline or reduces approvals and bureaucracy, to surely lead to affordable housing. The next one is capacity building, ensuring robust monitoring and evaluation, fostering stakeholder engagement. These are different means in which the government can come in order to help make public-private partnership effective. Now, in terms of the private sector, what do they bring in? What do they bring to the table? Yes, let me use that term. What do they bring to the table in terms of this agreement? Number one is capital investment. They bring their money. They're the one that are going to finance the project. Capital investment. And number two is efficiency and innovation. They bring about due to their expertise in terms of let's say an engineer that his expertise is in construction of big buildings, and the person wants to build a project and is coming to the government for a partnership. The person is surely going to bring his or her expertise, his or her innovation into the project. The next one is technical expertise. Yeah, just like I've explained. The next one is risk management. They help to manage risks in terms of actualization or building of projects. And how can we evaluate success in affordable housing? What can we say? Okay, what are the metrics we can use to measure success in terms of public-private partnership? Number one is actual affordability. What can we say? Okay, when we say there is an agreement between the government and investors, how can we say this agreement is successful in terms of providing affordable housing to the masses? Number one is actual affordability. Is the property affordable for the masses? What are the means or what are the processes that are in place to ensure affordability of these properties? That's number one. And number two is number of units delivered. How many units are delivered? If let's say you want to provide affordable housing to the masses and you're just building 5 or 6, how many units are delivered? Units delivered part of the prerequisite for a successful public-private partnership. The next one is quality and sustainability. How quality is the project that was delivered? How sustainable is this project over the years? The next one is the value for money, ensuring that the partnership delivers better outcome than traditional public procurement. When this partnership between the public and private generates more money. The next one is timeliness of delivery. How fast were they able to deliver this project? The social impact. This project that was delivered, how is he able to impact the people socially? The effectiveness of risk transfer, the strength and sustainability of the partnership. Now, what are the successful PPP models for affordable housing that we have in Nigeria? We have the Lagos State Housing Initiative. You can see the picture, the Lagos State Housing Initiative. Lagos State has demonstrated significant success in implementing PPP housing projects. Now, what are the achievements of the Lagos State Housing Initiative? They delivered 5,976 homes through PPP since 2019. Now, the next one is the Unity Housing Estate in Bauchi State. The Unity Housing Estate in Bauchi State represents a successful implementation of the design, build, and finance PPP model. What is the project structure? In the development approach, they were able to build 288 units in the first phase, and 171 units in the second phase, and 112 in the third. And what is the implementation process? There was a clear phasing strategy to manage resources effectively. So these are different PPP models that has led to the provision of affordable housing for Nigerians. The next one is the federal government renewed Hope Cities project. This one was recently launched. Renewed Hope Cities project. This project demonstrates the federal government's commitment to PPP housing. Now, what are the project features? The construction of 3,112 housing units in Kasana district of FCT, Federal Capital Territory. The next one is the part of the larger 20,000 housing units planned for Abuja. So these are different means, and these projects were carried out through a partnership between the government and individuals, the private individuals, investors, and investors. So there is need for the private individuals and the government to match their resources together for affordable housing in order to ensure affordable housing, in order to provide affordable housing to the people. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all for joining. See you in the next episode of Infrastructure Forum. Bye.